The airport terminal was crowded with travelers moving in every direction, rolling bags, quiet yawns, and soft announcements filling the wide open space. Anna stood near the boarding gate holding her ticket with both hands, her shoulders relaxed even though her mind was alert. She had arrived early and watched families reunite, business travelers check their watches, and children stare at airplanes through the glass walls. Nothing about the morning felt special, yet there was a strange tension she could not explain. She felt watched, not by one person but by the room itself, as if the calm could break at any moment. As boarding preparations continued, a pilot in a clean uniform walked toward the gate desk, scanning the waiting passengers. His eyes moved quickly until they stopped on Anna, and his steps slowed without reason. He studied her longer than anyone else, his expression tightening in a way that made the gate agent uneasy. The pilot leaned close to the desk and spoke quietly, but his tone carried authority and impatience. The agent's face shifted from routine focus to confusion, then to visible discomfort. Nearby passengers noticed the change and began paying attention. The pilot straightened and looked toward Anna again, then shook his head as if he had already made a decision. He spoke more firmly to the agent, who hesitated before responding. A pause stretched across the gate area, long enough for curiosity to turn into concern. When the pilot finally spoke aloud, his voice was controlled but cold. He claimed there was an issue and said he would not operate the flight with Anna on board. The words landed heavily in the air, and silence spread through the crowd like a sudden shadow. Several passengers exchanged looks, unsure if they had heard correctly. Anna felt her chest tighten, but she did not move or raise her voice. She stood still, meeting the pilot's gaze with calm strength. She asked politely what rule she had broken and why she was being singled out. The pilot avoided a direct answer, offering vague reasons that did not explain anything. His discomfort grew as more eyes turned toward him, and quiet whispers rippled through the waiting area. The gate agent asked Anna to step aside while they clarified the situation, her voice soft and apologetic. Anna walked slowly to a nearby seat, every step steady and deliberate. She had faced moments like this before, moments that tested patience and dignity. Sitting down, she took a slow breath and reminded herself that control mattered more than anger. Around her, tension continued to build, and passengers began openly questioning what was happening. Anna reached into her bag and took out her phone, her movements calm and confident. She did not look upset or afraid, only focused. She made a short call and spoke quietly, her voice clear and respectful. She explained what was happening without emotion, as if reporting the weather. The person on the other end listened carefully, and Anna nodded once before ending the call. She slipped the phone back into her bag, her expression unchanged. The pilot stood near the desk with his arms crossed, pretending not to notice the growing attention. His confidence began to crack as murmurs turned into concerned discussions. A few passengers approached the desk, asking for explanations and fairness. The agent struggled to manage the situation, clearly caught between authority and ethics. The pilot insisted on his position, unaware that his choice had already set something larger into motion. Anna remained seated, watching the scene with quiet awareness. She knew that truth did not always arrive loudly, but when it did, it changed everything. The air around the gate felt charged now, like a storm forming just beyond sight. People sensed that something important was about to happen, something that would expose more than just one decision. No one yet knew who Anna's father was, or how close he already was to stepping into this moment. The waiting area grew restless as time passed, and the calm rhythm of travel slowly dissolved into open concern. Passengers stood closer together now, sharing quiet thoughts and uneasy looks. Some wondered aloud why one person was being treated differently, while others simply watched, unsure how to react. Anna stayed seated, her hands resting calmly in her lap, her posture steady. She did not seek attention, yet attention found her anyway. Her silence carried weight, and people around her felt it without understanding why. The gate agent returned to the desk and spoke again with the pilot, her voice firmer this time. She asked for clear reasons and proper procedure, reminding him that rules applied equally to everyone. The pilot responded with irritation, repeating himself without adding clarity. His words sounded weaker now, as if repetition might replace truth. Nearby passengers began to question his authority openly, and the tension thickened. What began as a private decision was now unfolding in front of everyone. Anna looked around and noticed how many eyes had softened toward her. A woman nearby offered a quiet smile of support, while a man shook his head in disbelief. These small gestures reminded Anna that moments like this revealed character, not just conflict. She had learned that dignity was not loud, but it was powerful. The airport felt different now, no longer just a place of travel, but a stage where choices mattered. Every second added pressure to the pilot's stance. Minutes later, a senior airport official approached the gate, drawn by the growing disturbance. He listened carefully as the agent explained the situation, his expression serious and attentive. He then turned to the pilot and asked him to explain himself clearly. The pilot shifted his weight and repeated the same uncertain claims. The official frowned, sensing that something did not align. The crowd leaned in, aware that the balance of power was slowly changing. Anna felt her phone vibrate softly inside her bag, and she knew the call she had made earlier had been answered. She remained seated, calm and patient, trusting timing more than words. The official asked Anna directly if she wished to say anything. She stood slowly, her voice steady as she said she only wanted fair treatment and respect. There was no anger in her tone, only honesty. Her composure made the moment heavier than any raised voice could. The official nodded and assured her the matter would be handled properly. He stepped aside and made a call of his own, speaking in low tones while glancing occasionally toward the pilot. The pilot's confidence visibly faded, his posture stiff and uncertain. Passengers sensed a turning point and grew quiet again. The energy in the air shifted from confusion to anticipation. Something unseen was moving closer. Anna returned to her seat, her heart steady but alert. She thought of her father, not with worry, but with trust. He had always taught her that truth never needed decoration. Around her, the airport seemed to pause, as if waiting for someone important to arrive. No one yet knew how deeply connected Anna was to the world behind this terminal. And no one imagined that the next person walking toward the gate would change the meaning of everything that had just happened. The quiet tension at the gate finally broke when a tall older man entered the terminal with calm authority in his walk. He did not rush, yet everyone around him seemed to move aside without being asked. His clothes were simple but carried quiet confidence, and his eyes missed nothing. The senior airport official noticed him immediately and straightened his posture. The man asked what was delaying the flight in a steady voice. Something about his presence caused the noise of the terminal to soften. Anna looked up and felt a small sense of relief, though her expression remained composed. She recognized that walk and that calm strength she had known all her life. The man's eyes found hers and a brief nod passed between them. It was not a dramatic moment, yet it carried deep meaning. Passengers nearby sensed a connection even if they could not explain it. The pilot, however, did not notice and continued standing with forced confidence. The senior official explained the situation, carefully choosing his words. He spoke about a refusal to fly and about growing concern among passengers. The older man listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When the explanation ended, he asked one simple question. He asked whether any rule had truly been broken. The silence that followed was heavy and uncomfortable. The pilot stepped forward and tried to defend himself again. His voice lacked the certainty it once had, and his words felt empty. The older man looked at him directly and asked for clarity, not excuses. He introduced himself calmly, stating his role within aviation oversight. A ripple of shock moved through the listening crowd. Some passengers gasped as understanding spread from face to face. Anna remained seated, watching the moment unfold with quiet strength. She had grown up seeing respect earned through action, not volume. The pilot's shoulders sank as he realized who stood before him. Authority shifted in an instant, and the balance could not be restored. The older man turned slightly and acknowledged Anna as his daughter. The truth settled into the room like a final answer. The senior official immediately apologized and assured proper steps would follow. Passengers spoke openly, now their voices filled with support and relief. The pilot stood silent, his earlier confidence completely gone. Anna felt no triumph, only a calm sense of justice. She knew this moment was not about power but about fairness. And as the boarding gate prepared to reopen, everyone understood that change had just taken place. The gate area shifted from shock to action, and the senior official moved quickly with a serious face. He asked the gate agent to pause boarding for a short moment, not to punish passengers, but to fix the situation the right way. He spoke to Anna with respect, telling her she would not be removed and that her seat would remain hers. Anna listened quietly, her hands still calm, her breathing slow, her eyes steady. Around them, passengers stopped whispering and began watching the official instead of the pilot. The terminal noise returned, but now it sounded different, like people had woken up. The older man stayed near the desk, calm and firm, letting his presence do most of the work. He introduced himself again, this time in a way that made the pilot understand the real weight of the moment. He was known across the industry, a senior figure trusted to protect standards and safety, and his word carried consequences. The pilot tried to speak, but his voice sounded smaller than before, and he could not find a clean reason for his decision. The older man asked him to step aside, not with anger, but with controlled authority. Passengers watched the pilot move away, and many faces showed disappointment rather than excitement. Anna stood and walked a few steps closer, not to confront the pilot, but to stand beside her father. Her father looked at her with quiet care, checking if she was all right without needing many words. Anna gave a small nod, showing she was steady, though the moment had been heavy. The official apologized again, saying the airport would document what happened and review the actions properly. He also asked if Anna wanted a different flight or a private escort, but Anna simply said she wanted normal respect. Her calm answer made several passengers lower their heads, as if they felt the shame of the situation. A few passengers stepped forward and spoke to Anna with kind voices. One woman said she was sorry Anna had to face that, and another man said he was glad she did not back down. Anna thanked them simply, because she did not want pity, only understanding. Her father listened to these words, his expression serious but not cold, like someone studying a problem that must be corrected. He thanked the passengers too, reminding them that fairness is not a favor, it is the base of trust. The crowd seemed to agree, and the gate area felt united in a quiet way. The senior official then spoke to the pilot in a low voice, away from the crowd but still visible to everyone. He asked for a written statement and requested that another crew member take over duties for the flight. The pilot looked trapped, not by anger, but by his own choices, and he nodded without arguing. No one cheered, because it was not that kind of moment, it was a moment of accountability and learning. Anna watched without satisfaction, feeling only a calm wish that the world could be better than this. Her father placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, a simple reminder that she was not alone. When the replacement crew arrived, the atmosphere eased, and the boarding process resumed with clearer order. The gate agent called groups as usual, and passengers began lining up again, but many glanced at Anna with respect now. Anna picked up her bag and walked with steady steps, her head held naturally, not high, not low. Her father walked beside her for a short distance, then stopped near the entrance to the jet bridge. He told her quietly that dignity is a shield, and that calm truth can be stronger than loud arguments. Anna nodded again, holding those words close, then turned to board with quiet confidence. Inside the plane, Anna settled into her seat, feeling the soft hum of systems around her and the familiar smell of travel. She looked out the window and saw her father still standing in the terminal, watching until he knew she was safe. A flight attendant approached and apologized politely, offering water and asking if Anna needed anything. Anna said she was fine, and the attendant thanked her for her patience, then moved on with a careful expression. As the cabin filled and belts clicked, Anna felt the weight of the morning begin to lift, but not fully disappear. The plane moved slowly along the runway while the cabin settled into a steady, quiet rhythm. Anna sat upright with her hands folded, listening to the soft sounds around her and feeling the steady pull of motion. She thought about how easily a normal day could turn heavy and how quickly calm could be tested. Her face showed peace, but her mind stayed active, replaying the gate scene in careful order. She did not feel anger, only a strong wish that moments like that would become rare. As the plane lifted into the sky, she closed her eyes and breathed with patience. Back in the terminal, her father remained standing near the gate, watching the plane rise. He felt relief knowing his daughter was safe, but his work was not finished. He spoke briefly with the senior official, agreeing on next steps that would protect fairness for everyone. His voice was firm but measured because change required balance, not force. The official promised a full review and training reminders across staff. They shook hands with shared understanding and quiet resolve. As the flight leveled, Anna looked out the window and saw clouds stretch endlessly. She remembered her childhood lessons about strength and silence and how dignity carried its own power. Her father had taught her that identity was not something to explain to those unwilling to listen. She knew the story would spread among passengers and staff in different forms. Some would learn from it, and some might resist that truth. Still, she believed progress moved forward even when slowly. A flight attendant returned with a gentle smile, asking again if Anna was comfortable. Anna thanked her and accepted the water offered with appreciation. The small kindness mattered more than grand gestures in that moment. Nearby passengers offered respectful nods without words. No one stared anymore, and no one whispered. The cabin felt balanced again, like the world had corrected itself slightly. Hours later the plane landed smoothly, and passengers gathered their belongings. Anna stood and waited calmly, allowing others to pass first. When she stepped into the arrival hall, she felt lighter than before. The experience had tested her patience but also confirmed her values. She walked forward with steady steps, knowing she had handled the moment well. Her phone buzzed with a short message from her father saying he was proud. Outside the airport, life continued with taxis moving and voices blending together. Anna paused for a moment, feeling the sun and the simple freedom of arrival. She understood that her story was not unique, yet each time it happened it mattered. She hoped the pilot would reflect and grow rather than harden. True change came when people faced their actions honestly. That thought brought her quiet peace. Back at his office, her father reviewed reports and notes from the incident. He did not seek punishment but responsibility and learning. He believed systems improved when people were held to standards with fairness. He trusted that the official would follow through properly. Moments like this reminded him why his role mattered. Not for power but for protection of dignity. As evening approached, Anna settled into her destination routine. The morning felt distant but meaningful, like a lesson carried forward. She knew her journey was larger than one flight or one decision. Every calm response planted a seed for someone watching. She smiled softly, knowing she had stood firm without raising her voice. And with that quiet confidence, the story reached its true end.